The Grey Knights depart back to Titan with their fallen, taking the Spirit Stones with them. They send out a message to the Craftworlds that they have the Spirit Stones, but only part of the message travels that far. The Eldar do not know that Brother Captain Ignatius plans on giving back the stones. When they arrive on Titan, a battle ensues. Hey everyone, thanks for coming to Arctic Horde Wargaming. Today we have a match between Tala and Ryan. Ryan's going to be playing the Grey Knights, and Tala brought his Eldar. But before we get into this, if you can like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, be part of the Horde.
One. Which is
Cleanse and Capture on the Maelstrom of War table.
Roll one more time and figure out what our deployment is.
Oops. One.
Another one.
Okay, and that is the deployment of... So that is Spearhead Assault. That one is on page 216.
So we're playing Cleanse and Capture, 6 objective markers. We're going to be placing them as shown on page 226, which I believe is 6 inches away from the table and 12 inches apart from center to center. And I believe they have to be in your deployment zone, which we will double check here in a moment. Starting with whoever rolled the highest. So we need to roll real quick. So we're going to roll. You got a 1. You got a 1. 5. 6. Okay, cool. So yeah, starting with whoever rolled the highest, the players then alternate placing these objective markers until 6 have been set up. Each can be placed anywhere on the battlefield as long as the center is more than 12 inches away from the center of another and 6 inches away. So anywhere. Doesn't matter. And we don't know which side of the table we're playing on yet. So that's cool. So here, why don't you take a handful so that they're mixed, so we don't really know which one you're picking. So as far as Maelstrom events, it's kind of pretty random. So go ahead and pick your 3.
Takes 3.
What you got?
6, 2, and 1.
All right. So obviously I have 3, 4, and 5 that I will be placing. Other than that, we will go to place these 6 objectives. So starting with a player who rolled the highest. So go ahead.
So we'll be back after placement.
So Grey Knight's got a new book, and it's time to figure out those rules. Lots of tides and more chaplain rules. So today, just so you're aware, we're subbing in a Primaris chaplain that my dad painted for me, which looks amazing, as a Grey Knight chaplain. So just moving forward, just so you know that's there. As well as we have some other WYSIWYG stuff that I will go over when you see it. So starting off, we're going to start here to here. We have a Dreadnought who has an assault cannon as well as a flamer. This specific Dreadnought has the astral aim. And then when we go over here, we have an apothecary who has a I was about to say a purge sword, but hey, you're going to use it for purging anyway. He has a Nemesis Force sword. Then moving on to our unit of Terminators that goes across is the Halberd Squad. They have an incinerator. I know this guy's poor man's halberd broke, but hey, it is what it is. The leader has a hammer, as well as they all have the hammer hand. Is the this is the Halberd Squad. They have astral aim, is what these guys have as well. Moving over just so we get the other guys going at the same time, we have a sword squad. They have also an incinerator, and they have hammer hand on this squad. Moving over into the middle, we have another apothecary here. We have apothecaries both have sanctuary. The Paladin Ancient here has warp shaping. He also has a falchion and a stormbolter. In the middle, we have our warlord. He is a brother captain. He has a couple fun things that go on with him. He has Tenacious Survivor, Curious of Sacrifice. He also knows Empyrean Domination, which basically means I get a free command point if I roll for that. As well as, so Curious of Sacrifice and Tenacious Survivor are going to make this guy effectively unkillable for a while. But he has a halberd and he has a silencer for his weapon. We got Drago, and we got another Dreadnought who has a las cannon. I believe he also, just double checking, he has Purge Soul. And we have Voldus here. Voldus has Astral Aim, Gate to Infinity, and Purge Soul. In addition to that, we have another strike squad Over on this side, we have a strike squad. We have halberds across the line, except for the Justicar has a sword. And then we have one guy with a silencer. They have hammerhand as well. And up, getting ready to teleport strike in, we have a Grandmaster and Dread Knight. He has just Dreadfist. He has the Heavy Incinerator and Silencer. He knows Vortex of Doom, hoping to kind of use him right away in this game. And then we have a Grey Knight Chaplain. As I said before, we were subbing in this Primaris Captain, or Primaris Chaplain that was painted by my dad. And he has Litany of Faith and Refrain of Convergence, which are going to do really well in this game. He also obviously knows Litany of Hate and Inner Fire as well. I forgot to also mention that Drago also knows Imperium Domination and Warp Shaping. Then we have a Paladin squad there. 2 guys with warding staves, 1 guy with a hammer is the leader. We have a side cannon and a guy with falchions. So, last time I played against Tala, he had a bunch of these little biker guys, and due to some tactical mishaps on his part, I was able to knock him off pretty easily. Today he brought a little bit heavier stuff, so he brought in some big flyers and a bunch of tanks, and I'm a little scared. Just asking him about what his army does, he said somebody's going to give him 5 command points for this whole game, and I'm trying to kill them as soon as possible. So, I left some guys up in the teleporter with the chaplain, hoping to bring those in, using one of them to actually be within 3 inches so that they can cast Vortex of Doom on a pile of guys that might be together, and be able to get off a lot more wounds. Putting him just outside 3 inches so he doesn't get hit himself. Basically just castling up as much as I can back here, hoping to use the Brotherhood, or the Brother Captain and Drago to be able to re-roll everybody. That's why I kept this guy back a little bit, so he's within 6 inches of this guy, and everybody else is too, because that unit is effectively within 6 inches. It's different from AOS where you have to be wholly within, so that's always good. My plan is to move up and get a hold of this one, hopefully this turn. Most likely won't. I'm already currently holding that one back there with my strike squad, as well as the one in here. And I'm just going to hold off and hold on to these 3 objectives. Hopefully I can get some tactical objectives that are going to help me out a little bit better, and be able to teleport my guys in where I need to know where my tactical objectives tell me to go. And then I'm going to probably also use Voldus to actually teleport this lovely Dreadnought into battle, so he has an assault cannon, so it'll be better to shoot when it gets in there. So I have first turn because he ended. I'm hoping that he doesn't roll a 6 and seize the initiative, because if he does that, I will die first turn. So we'll see what happens.
Starting off, we have a set of a few fire prisms. So we have a fire prism with the usual cannon and the twin link shuriken catapults, and it's also going to be having spirit stones, which will give it the 6-up feel no pain to any failed saves. Moving up here, right on top of the perch, we have another fire prism. It's the same thing. We got the twin link catapults plus the spirit stones, and then we also have a Hemlock Wraith fighter, which is going to be having the Horrify psychic ability, which in retrospect, with an army with this small, with so many small unit sizes, Horrify, which is a leadership debuff psychic power, probably is not going to get me my money's worth. In the back here, we have a squad of 5 Dark Reapers. The Exarch is going to be having the same missile launcher as the rest of the squad, and will also be using the new long-range Exarch power, so all the Dark Reapers actually have a 6-inch increase on their missile launchers. In the back, we have a squad of 5 Dire Avengers. The Exarch right here has no War Gear options, but instead has the Bladestorm ability for his Exarch power, which means hit rolls of 6 generate additional hits. And then right up here, we have a Otarch with the Swooping Hawk Wings, who is also going to be my Warlord. Up front here, then, we have a squad of 3 Reavers. The Agonizer actually is going to be the Grav Talon, and then one of them has the Blaster as well. And we also have a squad of 5 Rangers just sitting on the objective point. Then moving right over here, we have a squad of 5 Wraithblades with the Ghost Axe and the shields, as well as a Spirit Seer who knows the Protect or Jinx ability, which basically gives me adding 1 to saves or decreasing 1 to enemy saves. And we also have a Farseer who knows Fortune and Guide. All the way over here, then, we have a Viper. Instead of a missile launcher, I'll be running a Shuriken cannon, so this is going to be a minimum point Viper. And then we have another identical squad of Dire Avengers. Up here, right in the middle-ish, we have another squad of Reavers. This time it's a 6-man unit with 1 Grav Talon, but 2 Blasters. And then in the back, we have another Fire Prism that's identical to the other 2. Another Hemlock, which is identical to the previous Hemlock, and so it's going to be having the Horrify ability. A squad of Reavers right here that have 1 Blaster and Grav Talon, and then a Succubus who is actually going to be minimum, like the minimum base model with the Arctic Glaive and Splinter Pistol. And then for detachments overall, there's going to be a battalion detachment, which is the Otark, along with the 2 Dire Avengers, the Rangers, and the Spirit Seer. And that detachment is a battalion, so I get the 5 command points. It's also going to be Ulthway, so all of those units end up getting a 6-up Feel No Pain, essentially. But the Otark, being my general, also then gets the Fate Reader command trait. So at the start of each turn, mine and my opponent's, I roll a dice, and if we're lucky, I get another command point. And then the Otark's just base ability for being a general means that as I'm spending command points, I have a chance to get the points I spent back. So I'm hoping that I can be very liberal with my use of command points and essentially try to overwhelm my opponent with stratagems. Then the rest of the Eldar more or less fall into a Alatok Spearhead detachment. So the 3 Fire Prisms, along with the 2 Hemlocks, and this Farseer, and this Viper, and the Dark Reapers, all get the -1 to hit for shooting attacks outside of 12 inches, which means hopefully the Hemlocks actually are going to be very resilient, and the Fire Prisms, because they're so far back, won't be shot off the board way too quickly, because you get the -1 to hit, I get my normal base save, but I also then get the 6-up Feel No Pain. So unlike the last time I tried them, I'll hopefully be able to use the Linked Fire stratagem a few times to start chunking things off on the map. And then lastly, there's an Outrider detachment, which is the 3 sets of Reavers here for the Dark Eldar, plus the Succubus. And I chose to actually roll a dice to see what the combat drugs are going to be. And I ended up rolling a 4, which is a +1 to toughness. So all of the Reavers are going to be toughness 5, and the Succubus is going to be toughness 4 to start off the game. And additionally, we're using one of the new Psychic Awakening custom witch cults. And so there's going to be Sighting Impact, which is essentially that when any of these Reavers finishes a charge move, I get to roll a dice to see if I inflict additional mortal wounds. Plus, with then the Grav Talon, I'm hoping to really inflict a bunch of mortal wounds on the initial hit, and then I'll try to fall back or force my opponent to fall back, and then I'll try to charge again and just keep on stacking up more mortal wound throws. And additionally, the second perk I'm using for the custom witch cult is the one which allows you to charge in, and on the turn that you charge, any additional 6s to hit generate additional hits. So I'm really going for a quick, fast, hard-hitting charge, and then hopefully I'll keep like a unit of Terminators busy or something, and force them to pull back so they're not going to be able to shoot that turn. And from there, these Reavers are probably going to get shot off the board. But the idea is that they're going to cause a lot of damage, even if they're glass cannons and they break apart. By then, everything else from the Eldar starts sweeping through with their heavy firepower. And that ends up being a total of 10 command points. The overwhelming sheer firepower that I'm going to be bringing is through the Fire Prisms. Because I have 3 of them, and 2 of them don't plan on moving at all, I'll be able to have all 3 of these fire twice. And with the Linked Fire stratagem, I'll be able to reroll wounds and reroll hits. And so hopefully I can select any unit on the map and essentially decide to have it be removed by the end of my shooting phase. And if I can keep on doing that over and over again, I should be able to essentially ensure that nothing gets close enough to really start wiping away my Dark Reapers. Additionally, I'm hoping that my Hemlocks will be able to take out the Dreadnoughts and the sort of like heavy elite infantry that they have. And especially because they're going to be more or less flying in circles throughout this entire game, I'm hoping to keep them sort of like as... I'm hoping to keep them as essentially distraction carnifexes. So that as my Wraith Blades move up, I'll have my Farseer and Spirit Seer with them, and essentially this unit will be buffed up and sort of soften the blow as the Terminators start advancing. The one thing I'm worried about is there's a lot of stuff being held back in the reserves for deep striking, and so after the first turn, I'm worried that they'll come in close enough that they can actually get a good charge in, And at that point, I'm fairly certain quite a few of my units are going to fall apart very quickly because they won't be able to move back in time, and especially given how fragile most of my army is, I'm worried that the charge phase is going to more or less end the game by the second turn if he ends up rolling really well on those charges. But hopefully, if I can get a really good solid first turn, I can alleviate that. Hopefully, and hopefully ensure that that won't be the case. Otherwise, these Rangers are going to be staying on their point. I'm going to try to capture points 1 and 6, and I'm probably going to end up conceding 4, 5, and 3, simply because by the time my units can get there, it'll probably have been the end of the game already. So I have secure objectives 1, 4, and 5.
1, 4, and 5. Okay, you placed 1, which is up here.
I placed 2, which I think is right there.
Yep, 4 and 5 are here in front of my line, as well as by the strike squad in the back there.
Rolling to seize the initiative. Rip.
Yep, awesome. Perfecto.
Perfecto.
So going first, Ryan?
Sure. So, Psychic Communion is what I pulled, as well as Supremacy and Area Denial. So, Psychic Communion is score 1 victory point if you successfully manifested at least 3 psychic powers during your turn. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get that. And if you successfully manifested 6 or more psychic powers during your turn, get D3 victory points. I think I could do that too. Supremacy, score D3 victory points if you control any 3 objective markers at the end of your turn. Hoping I can do that. And then score 1 victory point if there are no enemy models within 6 inches of the battlefield at the end of your turn. If there are no enemies within 12 inches of it, then I get D3. So most likely this won't happen, and I will end up getting rid of it next turn and drawing something else. But this one is definitely going to happen this turn, and this one, I'm hoping that I can get that this turn. So we'll see what happens. So I did score 3 victory points this game, and I also did get first. Well, I didn't get first blood because he has to kill the unit to get it. So unfortunately, he's going to end up getting first blood. I can guarantee it. He's going to probably take out either this dreadnought or the strike squad there. I was trying to get my supremacy off. I didn't advance him because I wanted him to be within 12 inches of Voldus. And since I rolled a 1 and a 2, and I command point re-rolled the 1, because we found a rule that says that you can't re-roll both dice, because I thought that was both dice. But anyway, correct me if I'm wrong, but he failed because he rolled another 1, and I needed to get to here to be able to control that objective, and then I would have got supremacy, which would have given me D3 additional victory points. So I am ahead. I have 6-0, but it's now his turn, and I think he's going to get a lot this turn. He has to try and get to this and to that one. Guarantee he'll get there. He'll get his command point for holding that, and probably Warlord, or probably First Blood and everything like that too. So we'll see what happens.
So this round went really well for me, at least in a few respects. So both my Hemlocks started off right in the middle of my territory, and they moved all the way down the map, so they're now straight up in his face. And one of them managed to take out a few of the Strike Squad members who were right by objective number 4. And then this Hemlock right here actually fired everything into Voldus and knocked him down with 6 unsaved wounds left. So Voldus is no longer on the map, which is hopefully going to make my life a lot easier moving forward. And this Hemlock here ended up securing objective 4 for me, because with the Dark Reapers firing, we wiped out the remainder of the Strike Squad. So that means that at the end of the turn, I feel like I have a really good footing to like surround him, especially as my Reavers now ready for a turn 2 charge in. And especially now that the Hemlocks are so close to him, he's going to have to expend some more fire on them, whereas my Fire Prisms are allowed to freely shoot through. One issue that ended up happening is that all of my Fire Prisms ended up only rolling 1 shot apiece. So with 3 Fire Prisms, I only got to shoot 6 shots total, which ended up pulling out 2 Terminators, but I was definitely hoping to wipe out a full squad. And hopefully with better dice, that's not going to be a problem next turn, especially because I'm confident that I'll at least be able to have all of them shoot once more, because I have enough of like a bubble with the units up front to prevent any deep strike shenanigans without him spending way too many command points. Otherwise, I ended up moving the Wraith Blades back, gave them Protect, and gave them Fortune. So hopefully as he moves up the table, he's going to have to spend a lot more fire on taking them out. My Succubus is hiding right here, doing absolutely nothing outside of holding objective 1. And then I moved 3 Reavers up top here, as well as 6 down here underneath. And then I have another squad on the opposite side of the map, just staying ready and hopefully just guarding against deep strike shenanigans. And the plan is that next turn with their 18-inch move, as well as the fact that they'll be able to re-roll advances and charges, I can start getting some rolls for mortal wounds, especially on this blob of Terminators, so that when everything else drops down, there's not going to be enough time for them to actually do any meaningful damage. In terms of then points gained, I secured objective 4, and I secured objective 1, and I also got 1 point for First Blood, so I'm currently at 3 victory points, and I plan on recycling next turn for secure objective 5, because I don't think I'll be able to take it given just how much stuff is like on objective 5. So I'm going to try to re-roll that and have a new fresh set of 3 cards to roll to aim to like score. Yeah. Overall, not a bad start so far.
So I still have my Supremacy. I drew 2 new cards. Secure objective 1. I'll get 1 victory point for that. And I got Destroy the Daemon. And guess what? I'm not playing against any today. So I guess next turn I'll get rid of this card, and then we'll go from there. It's going to be a low score point. You know, a lot of low points this turn are going to happen. So I am less than satisfied. I decided to use one of the new stratagems to bring this guy in within 3 inches of the missile unit. I wanted to wipe them out because that was really dangerous last turn. Kill this unit off this objective just in case, and maybe do some damage here. Ends up that none of that happened. I did the Flamer, took out 3 guys here. Thought for a minute to try and maybe make a move on my secure objective 1. I actually took the Psi Cannon and shot at this big guy on the top. I was hoping that he would blow up and maybe kill some people, including the Succubus on the thing. We were trying to use that same stratagem on the Paladin squad over here on that building. but it seems all the rules that we find are actually saying that objectives aren't cylinders in 40K, and that that wouldn't work because the vertical distance is larger than that. So that's why we didn't do that measure. Otherwise, we would have had more guys within there, and we would have been fine. Other than that, I should have really thought about what these guys were going to do. I did not expect him to come back last turn and kill Voldus. I should have castled up a little bit. I did bring everybody to cover. We still have +1 for our save and -1 to hit for everybody in here. The only person that's not in is this Dread Knight. The reason for that is we needed to get to here to get Supremacy, which I scored 2 victory points off of, because off the D3 when I scored rolled a 3. So next turn I'm going to get rid of the Destroy the Daemon and draw 2 cards, and hopefully we will be in a better position where we are. I did fail my charge move for these Paladins, but as long as they don't get wiped, I'm hoping that my Grandmaster and Dread Knight is enough of a big target that they won't hit these guys with the Chaplain, so they can get in combat and move forward. And we'll see what the cards play out. But right now, I'm feeling okay. He hasn't drawn any real big cards, and I'm pretty far ahead right now, so I feel pretty good.
So I ended up drawing 3 new objectives. I have Defend Objective 3, Defend Objective 2, and Defend Objective 1. And I'm fairly certain I'll be able to get 1 and 2 easily, but Objective 3 is where one of the Dreadnoughts is currently setting up camp, so I'm probably not going to go for it right now. So we're at the bottom of round 2, and things seem to be going about as well as I expected. So we ended up healing the Hemlock that took a bunch of damage out using the Tears of Isha stratagem, so going from 6 up to 9 wounds again. I'm not worried about either of the flyers actually falling in the next turn as well. Otherwise, I tried to focus as much fire as I could into the Nemesis Dread Knight, and I ended up getting it down from I think 12 to 3 wounds, and then we ended up charging in with the Farseer and the Wraithblade just to keep it busy, so that hopefully when it falls back or stays in combat it can't cause more collateral damage. Additionally, I ended up charging some Reavers in. We ended up trading out 3 Paladins were killed in the initial charge, and in exchange I ended up losing 4 Reavers. I think overall I'm making my points back on the Reavers, and especially with how many mortal wounds are dished out on the charge, it was nice to have them essentially tar pit up the Paladins. So far I'm on track then to hold on to Objective 2 and Objective 1. So long as my Rangers and my Succubus stay alive for the next turn, I should be okay in taking both of those for 2 victory points each. I guess moving on into the next turn, my strategy is going to be about the same as before. I'm not focusing on the Dreadnoughts here because while they can take out my Hemlock, they're not really going to be useful for much more. It's going to take too long for them to actually move down the board to the objectives I'm trying to keep. The Reavers are still doing a fantastic job of tar pitting, and as soon as I'm guaranteed that I have control over this point at the start of my turn for round 3, I'll move these Reavers down and try to start causing even more shenanigans. The Rangers are staying alive through a miracle more or less, and my only goal right now is to make sure that the Nemesis Dread Knight doesn't kill them. And if they end up dying, I'm going to have to reinforce this point as soon as possible to ensure I get those victory points. Overall so far, I'm still trailing when it comes to victory points because of how well the psychic victory points were scored on turn 1 for the Grey Knights, but I think I can start swinging this in my favor, especially given I still have a 6 command point lead starting off round 3.
So I got secure objective 4, which ain't happening. Score 1 victory point if you control objective 1. Still probably not happening. I got rid of Damon Slayer or whatever that was, and got score D3 plus 3 if you control every objective mark on the battlefield. That's totally not happening. This is real bad. We're not going to score anything this turn. Okay, we'll see. Well, I'm surprised my Grandmaster Dread Knight is still alive with 2 wounds left after he cast Vortex of Doom on the guy in front of him, his Farseer, and only did 1 wound to everybody that was nearby, so that was unfortunate. But in the fight phase, we did end up cleaning up the Wraithguard and only doing 1 wound to... Actually, his Farseer saved it with his Feel No Pain, which is amazing. I still have 1 command point left. I'm going to use it, so once he kills the Farseer, I'm going to either shoot or fight, depending on what that guy does. We took down one of the big ships. We changed the tides to be 2 mortal wounds apiece, and we had 7 tests to be able to go at them, and I only needed 6 of them. So that was cool. We took down that guy, wiped this complete unit that was here. The Dreadnought made an 11-inch charge, so that was amazing as well. Like I said before, there was no way I was going to get over to secure objective 4. Typically, with this new rules change, I changed up what I was going to do. I only gave Voldus the Gate to Infinity, and typically I had it both on Voldus and Drago, so that they both could do it if one died. And so that was my mistake to not do that. Otherwise, I'd be popping them over there, and this would already be contested, and I would have got that point this turn. So right now, I didn't gain any points this turn. I'm going to get rid of Domination because that's completely useless. I'm not going to be able to get Objective 4. I'm definitely not going to get Objective 1. So I think I'm going to have to hold out on points until I can start moving the guys forward into these different places, depending on what cards I get. But it doesn't look too good. He still has 3 tanks, a big ship, and some more flyers on the other side that can quickly get around the table, plus his Warlord. I still have mine, but he's way on the other side of the table, and I can't push him over there yet. So, anyway, that's the end of my turn, round 3, and we'll see what happens from here.
So I substituted out Defend Objective 3 and drew Master of Runes, which gives me 1 victory point if I successfully manifest a psychic power other than Smite, and D3 if I manifest 3 powers or more. So that's hopefully doable depending on how the Deny the Witch tests go. So it's the bottom of turn 3 and things are still going according to plan. I ended up moving over my Hemlock to get a good solid shot at the Chaplain, and he's down to 1 wound after everything's said and done. And I also managed to pluck out, I think, 2 Paladins through just combined fire. Additionally, the Dread Knight finally was taken care of, the Farseer fell back, and the Otark jumped in and shot him with the fusion pistol. And then the Fire Prisms continued their focus fire and took out 1 of the Dreadnoughts here. So overall, at the end of the turn, I still have control over Objective 1, and I defended Objective 2, which nets me 4 victory points for this turn. So I'm right now at 7, which means I think I'm tying him for victory points, but I can't remember. Otherwise, I had an atrocious psychic phase, and so none of my powers went off, and I don't get any victory points for that. So hopefully next turn, now that it's going to be harder to deny the witch, I'll be able to at least get 1 point off to get that free victory point. Going to the next turn, I think my strategy is fairly straightforward. These Rangers are not going to survive, but I should be able to move my Reavers down and into the Chaplain to take him out. And the Hemlock is going to continually be flying around and hopefully take out either the Terminator Squad or the lone surviving Paladin. Otherwise, my Dark Reapers so far, while a little battered, are going to still have a decent amount of range because they're going to be shooting 54 inches, which means I should be able to start putting pressure on the Horde of Terminators that right now have control over Objective 5. Although at this point, I'm still not sure what they're going to end up doing for the round. So yeah, that is my game plan for now. I'm going to continue turtling, and I'm going to see if there's anything more I can pull off next turn.
This one's going to work out for us. Score 1 victory point if at least 1 enemy unit that can fly was destroyed this turn. I guess those little flyers up top over there are going to die real quick today. We took out the other flyer using the same strategy of using the 2 mortal wound smite was super helpful. I really wish I would have changed the that tide earlier, but I can also say the opposite because I was able to use some extra armor. But I could have killed those big flyers ahead of time if I had done that. So we took out the flyer, we took over this objective. There's no real infantry in the way of his avatar. Oh my gosh, he was not here to see that.
Oopsies.
Anyway, so there's nobody in the way if I come over this way to be able to get in and attack him. So everybody else is wide out in the open, unfortunately, and the chaplain's in front of everybody, so I'm pretty sure he's going to twin link all this crap into him. But the big heavy hitters are out of the way. This twin link thing that he has going on, it's amazing. This all reroll wounds and reroll hits that he's doing with this thing is ridiculous because it just goes straight through a dreadnought, which he destroyed, which didn't blow up, thankfully. That was here. My last cannon has been very crap all game. Hasn't been able to hit through anything. I'm currently, I did get Scour the Sky, so that gave me a +1. So I'm at 9 total points, and I think he's at 7 right now. So this is a very, very close game. I have secure objective 1 and 4, and those are not happening anytime soon. So unfortunately, I'm really hoping I get a better card next, or he just sucks. That would be really nice.
So I will be keeping Master of Runes, but I have Big Game Hunter, score 1 victory point if at least one enemy unit with the wounds characteristic of 10 or more was destroyed during this turn. That's not happening. And Assassinate, score 1 victory point if at least one enemy character was destroyed during this turn. If 3 or more characters were destroyed during this turn, score D3 victory points instead. I might be able to pull that off with the Chaplain, actually. The game's still tied. We're at the bottom of round 4, and I ended up clearing out a lot of stuff. I ended up finally getting a Psychic Power off, so I ended up scoring Master of Runes, and then I took out the Chaplain, which gives me Assassinate. So I'm at 9 victory points, tying at 9 victory points, and we got another round at least to go. Thankfully, I've cleared out so much of the heavy hitting stuff that I'm not as worried about anything anymore. I still have 2 Dark Reapers who are going to continually be firing. I still have some decent psychic support for them. And I still have my 3 Fire Prisms that are going to be continually shooting at whatever, creeps out. The concern I have is Slay the Warlord, because I mispositioned my Otark. So really, I only have the Reavers here to, sort of pull pressure. And, alleviate any of the shots coming at the Otark. And there's a lot of Stormbolter shots that are going to be going into them. So with that said, I may have accidentally given Slay the Warlord, but I think that I can pull this off. So I'll draw 2 more victory conditions, and I should be able to score at least one of them. And my Fire Prisms will at least wipe out another squad. It's just, I'm not sure which squad that is. So yeah, turn 5, let's do it.
So we had to make the pro call and get rid of getting objective 1 because we're not going to get over there. And now we got defend objective 3, which This game is not going to last that long enough to be able to do that. Unless see, score 2 victory points if you continue the objective marker 3 for 2 consecutive rounds. So if the game continues, yeah, sure, I could get that. But then I scored Kingslayer, D3 points if your opponent's Warlord has been destroyed during this or a previous turn. So I have to kill his Warlord this turn. Has to happen. No question. Has to happen. So I got Slay the Warlord. I did a bunch of funky smite stuff to get it. But I only rolled a 1 on the D3, and so I'm at 10. If he gets 2 command points, and I have defend objective 3. If I sit on objective 3 and I still control it at the end of his turn and the turn keeps going, then I'll get it. But other than that, if this game ends next turn, or at the end of the next turn, and he scores 2 victory points, he'll win. And that'll be that. So we can probably pull the cards as soon as he gets back here from the secret hidden room downstairs where he can't hear anything. We can probably pull 2 cards, and if there's something that he's going to definitely get, we'll just call it, because he's going to get it for sure. So we'll see. We'll call him back up here, and we'll see what he pulls.
Okay, so we got Secure Objective 3, Scour the Skies, and Secure Objective 2. I'm really only going for Secure Objective 2 right now. There's no real way that Scour the Skies is going to happen, or Secure Objective 3. Like, I can't catch them. Things might not be going as well as I thought they would. So, I can't secure 2 of these objectives, more or less, so I went all in on securing Objective 2. My Dark Reapers are on the other side, and that gives me 1 victory point. Otherwise, I ended up wiping out the Terminator squad, so really it's the Dreadnought and 5 characters doing their own thing, and I ended up dealing a few wounds, but he made all of his invulnerable saves, so I'm going to have to really roll well this coming turn. If there is another turn, which is the big question. So, the way it breaks down right now is, if the game ends, it's a tie. If the game doesn't end, then who knows what's going to happen, but it's probably still going to be a tie. Let's see what happens.
So, battle length, player who had the first turn must roll a d6. Oh, actually, sorry, that's supposed to be me. So, player who had first turn must roll a d6, and a roll of a 3 or higher, the game continues.
It continues.
I don't know how I feel about that. Okay.
Okay.
Alright, so, at the end of battle round 6, a player who had second turn must roll a d6, and a 4 up, it continues. The battle ends at end of 7th. So, I got rid of Defend Objective 3 because he took my guy off that turn, and we looked up the rules, and if I'm not controlling it on his turn with anybody, it doesn't work. So, I'm keeping Secure Objective 4 because it's a higher chance that I'll be able to get that versus anything else. And then score 1 victory point if an enemy unit was destroyed during your turn, which I believe I might be able to do. And then score, if 3 to 5 were destroyed, then D3 victory points. That's not going to happen. I can maybe kill 1 guy, and that's it. And priority orders received. 6/6. When this tactical objective is generated, immediately generate a bonus tactical objective. This does not count towards the number of active objectives that are currently in play. Your Warlord is the only unit that can be used to achieve the bonus tactical objective. It is Witch Hunter. Score 1 victory point if at least one enemy psyker was destroyed during your turn. Oh no. See, this is why you keep Gate to Infinity on multiple people, so you can send people over. So there's no way in hell I'm getting this. So anyway, they must be the only unit to control an objective marker. Destroys the last model, an enemy unit, and so on. If you achieve this, score both of these. Man, this would have won me the game. This right here would have won me the game if I would have had Gate to Infinity. Because I would have scored 3 with this. And I would have scored an additional... So I would have got 4 victory points, and there would be no way he'd be able to catch up with that. So this is why you keep Gate to Infinity on at least 3 guys. We took out 1 unit. We got the no prisoners. We scored 1 victory point. We didn't think we were going to get 3 to 5 units this turn. So that's acceptable. Witch Hunter, I shot through doing some smite manipulation to be able to get the succubus away. I was able to get it so that the closest visible unit to this dreadnought is actually the Eldari guy, the big guy. So I did some damage to him. I'm hoping that somehow I can get close enough and take him out, because I still have secure objective 4. If he doesn't kill the Dreadnought, I could make it with the advance potentially out there. But other than that, it doesn't look like I have a lot of options moving forward with this. So I might end up actually getting rid of Witch Hunter next turn, because if this game goes on a 4-up, I'm not gonna be able to get this anyway. So I might as well ditch it, get something else I could potentially do, and move forward. So at the end of this game, I tried to bring back a Terminator with the Apothecary. It didn't work. But I basically just castled up my guy as much as possible. So he can twin link all he wants to these guys, but he still has to get to my Warlord through all of that.
Okay, so we got Witch Hunter, which I should be able to get. Combined Strike, which is if an enemy unit was destroyed during the Psychic, Shooting, or Fight phase of my turn, and then Strands of Fate, which means I have to roll a d6 with this tactical objective, and then I can get 1 victory point if I control that objective marker. So
Yeah, you are currently at 9, correct?
I'm currently at 9, and
So
you are at 11?
I'm at 11 right now.
So I need to get 2 of
kill
these.
1 unit,
Then we tie.
then we tie. There's no way to win in that game unless you kill enough guys that somehow you get back to my Warlord and kill him and get a point for that.
Yeah. The game's still a tie. I ended up getting Combined Strike and Witch Hunter. Thankfully, everything's a Psyker for Grey Knight, so it's really just 2 victory points for me to kill something. The Dread Knight is gone, as well as the Apothecary, and then I managed to do 2 wounds on his Warlord.
It's actually a Terminator, but yeah.
Oh.
Apothecary's still alive.
Oh. Anyways, Terminator's dead, that's all I care about. Basically, there's no more blocking characters stuff, because characters can't block characters in shooting. And so long as, if the game goes to another turn, I'm not worried about, getting through the chaff before I can actually do damage. But does the game go on for another turn, or does the game end tied? I'm honestly not sure. And that's really my turn.
Well, good game.
Good game.
Jesus.
Some might even say 3 turns in a row. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think it was tied ever since I caught up. Because you were in the lead for the first 2 turns, but I think after that I ended up catching up with the 4 points I scored.
Yep.
Objectives 1 and 3, 2, whichever one it is.
Yeah. And that's, I really disliked you know, we actually read the rules this time for at least the game mode, right?
Some of the rules, maybe
Some
not
of
all
the
of them.
not
but-
all the rules, but we did notice that we had to place the objective first before we picked which sides, or even technically what the battle formation was going to be in the first place. So, not knowing exactly all that stuff kind of played into it pretty well, where we kind of maybe spaced them out, not from the edges and more towards the middle, so we could actually have a chance to fight there. I would have definitely lost this game if the update to Grey Knights didn't happen. The Tides of War with the dual smite, when you get a lot of units and they smited, they did the same strategy to kill both your flyers, which did a lot of damage, and that's the only way they could have killed them. There was no other way. The Stormbolters would never have done that. But, well, what would you have changed about this? What have you done differently? 'Cause I know what I would have done. I would have put more guys with Gate to Infinity, right? If I would have Gate to Infinity, boom, this guy would have been there that other turn. You guys wouldn't have got to him. He would have been in cover, whatever. Nothing. Nothing's going to happen to him.
Yep. I think me tossing my Warlord into the fray only to realize that he's too far away to shoot at the Chaplain definitely made it problematic for me going on forward. Because if I had the shot off, I was planning on firing and fading back, so that I wasn't going to be in smite range or anything. That obviously didn't end up being the case, and he gets killed immediately later, and the Slay the Warlord victory goes over. I'm happy with how the Fire Prisms are performing, but I'm not sure if I want to keep running them over something like Night Spinners, because I feel like with the Fire Prisms, there's a lot of variability in terms of, like, even with rerolls, you're not rerolling how many shots you have. And so there were times where I'd be doing Linked Fire, but only shooting like 6-7 times and not actually getting bodies dropping where I needed them to.
Total, right?
Yeah.
6-7 times total out of 3 guys.
Out of 3 guys that are firing twice.
Still, getting the rerolls and everything off, that was ridiculous. The -4 AP. All right, the guy's dead. All right, he's just dead. Especially with the Dreadnoughts. As soon as he targeted all of his Twin Link guys at the Dreadnought, that was it. I'm just like, all right, we'll just see how many wounds you get, because I can't block him at all. There's no invuln save on the Dreadnought, which I don't totally agree with, because, you know, it's a big giant hunk of metal. Should be maybe a 2-up save
Most definitely.
instead of a 3. But
Notes for Games Workshop as you're making the next Codex for Space Marines.
please no, I just bought your other one. No, the Ritual of Damn was like, what, $40, something like that, and then I luckily used my tournament gift card at Source Comics and Games in Roseville, Minnesota. Or is it St. Paul? St. Paul, I think. Roseville. All right, well, you know, Source Comics Game, awesome place. Anyway,
I feel like my list ended up being a little tailored almost to Grey Knights, even though I didn't know I was playing Grey Knights until like this evening, simply because I just brought way more anti-tank than I normally should be or would be.
you know, I would love to tailor my list to combat some of this stuff, to try and like cheat at it a little bit. But this is every single Grey Knight model I own, except for like one guy who looks very similar to my Warlord, who's at home, sitting on a shelf.
And the amount of smite
It's
damage.
literally it. Is all I got.
The amount of smite damage that was coming out too was just like crazy. You
Yeah,
took
this
down
guy,
the
this
entire
guy,
Hemlock
this guy.
in one turn.
Yeah, that was the thing. I would say that, as I said during the battle report and the different updates, I would not take a las cannon ever again. If I didn't have a choice, I would not be taking a las cannon. It is underperformed considerably. I would rather have 2 units with the double smite. They're going to do more damage because it just goes through most units anyway. Instead of giving him -3, is it? Yeah, -3 on a D6 damage. Like, forget that, man. Come on.
I am happy with how my Reavers performed, but I'm not sure if I want to keep them in. Because as much as they performed well in terms of just like tar-pitting Grey Knights for a round, they got wiped out in a single round of combat. And I think part of that is like, even though I had the +1 toughness, so things were going in my favor, Reavers just aren't that durable.
I thought it was a pretty good game.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for coming in. If you liked the video, please like, share, and subscribe to Arctic Horde Wargaming. Like us on Facebook and like us on Instagram, or follow us on Instagram. Be part of the Horde.